It's time for Wes Strader's Sportsline on ESPN Radio 102.7. Sportsline is a locally produced sports talk show that focuses on high school and WKU as well as regional athletes who play at the next level. Sportsline was originated by Hall of Fame sportscaster Wes Strader. Now with a new version of Sportsline, here's Garret Browning on ESPN Radio 102.7.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Actually, no. No, just cut the music. Cut the music. It's the Sportsline. Good afternoon to you, sports fans. Thanks for tuning in once again to the Sportsline. Mondays, 5 to 6, here on 102.7 FM, 1450 AM, 1230 AM. And if you can't get it on any of those radio dials, streaming ESPN Radio 1027.com. We've got an interesting show today. I do not have any guests planned. My buddy Tyler, he's up with a meeting for Revolution. People are busy doing WKU Media Day. A bunch of news came out about the former starting quarterback for the Hilltoppers and probably will be starting quarterback when he returns, but that's after a foot injury to Steve Duncan that's going to keep him out several weeks. As of right now, that's the prognosis we've got thanks to Elliott Pratt Daily News and all those media covering the event, alongside with our buddy Tyler Eaton, who has a special show this Thursday, plugging it for him, Red Towel Radio. He's going to have Curry McFadden, who helps with soccer, little volleyball, little women's basketball as well. He's the SID of that department. And also former Hilltopper great quarterback Brandon Dowdy's going to be on the program. What a great week to have him on as well. Injured to the starter with Steve Duncan, so he's going to come on and talk about hopefully who's going to fill in for Duncan and maybe what to expect for those Hilltoppers after they took a tough loss in Nashville, 38-21. Louisville over Western in Nashville college football. We've got some NFL news as well. The Tennessee Titans, oh my gosh, they just love to hurt me, don't they? Another loss to the Indianapolis Colts, this time Jacoby Brissett behind center. 2-14 in the last 16 games. That is the record the Tennessee Titans have versus the Indianapolis Colts. You know, I feel like I'm reading the Browns versus the Steelers or something, but no, it's the Titans versus the Colts, 2-14 in the last 16 games. So we'll definitely get into that. A curse well beyond the Andrew Luck curse. That's gone, and it's still with us. High school football, quick little scoreboard update from this past weekend. Bowling Green, huge shutout over PRP, 56-0. Glasgow 50-7 over ACS. Greenwood, a tight one against the Raiders from the Swamp, 22-13. The Gators prevail. Still undefeated on the season. I was really impressed with those Gators, man. They run the ball well. They spread the ball to the perimeter. They've got a good chance of upsetting some more teams here down the stretch. 22-13 over Warren East. Logan County 55-28 over Russellville. I thought that score could be kind of worse. We saw Warren East blow out Russellville in a shutout. And for Russellville to kind of compete with their in-town rival that's been much more dominant the last two seasons, to put it frankly. I mean, a 10-win team in Logan County versus a team in Russellville trying to rebuild and replenish, and they put up a pretty good fight versus Logan County. South Warren, 53-14 over Warren Central. Kind of more of the same with Central, team that's well overpowered, but put up a pretty good battle. That's going to be interesting to see what the Dragons do down the stretch with Dre Boyd at quarterback. Monday Night Football tonight. Do not forget the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns. Somebody has to win a game. Sam Darnold has mono. He's going to be out for the New York Jets. The Browns, of course, are coming off their bad loss to the Tennessee Titans, a blowout. And the Jets, honestly, had one of the worst losses of week one. If you weren't paying attention, the Buffalo Bills were down and out, and they let the Bills come back and beat them 1-0. Of course, Buffalo now 2-0 in the early season, so don't count out Josh Allen and Sean McDermott up there at Buffalo. Hands up in the air if you knew who Sean McDermott was. He is the Buffalo Bills head coach. MLB postseason drive is still in full effect. My Tampa Bay Rays currently holding on to that last wild card spot, but my goodness, it's going to be a close race. The Oakland A's currently sitting in that first wild card spot, with the Cleveland Indians currently out of the playoff race. and it's going to be a tough one. Tampa Bay is currently on a road stretch. They play the Dodgers in L.A. tonight, so we could see some mix-up in the wild card standings from the AL. Cleveland, though, they've had a rough stretch. They've kind of let Minnesota play themselves back into that Central Division lead. Meanwhile, in the NL side of things, how about the St. Louis Cardinals? I don't think a lot of people would have picked them to come out of the NL Central, but they look strong, 83-66. But the Milwaukee Brewers, after losing their potential MVP, Christian Yelich, just a couple of games ago, they're 9-1. In their last 10 games, they're only 3 spots out of that Central Division lead. So you want to keep your eye on the Brewers. Without Yelich, and another MVP candidate went down in Major League Baseball, that would be Mike Trout of the Anaheim Angels. Of course, the Angels are kind of out of the playoff picture, but never want to see a guy like that go down, especially with what could be a serious injury and a back-to-back like that. Super quick. Yelich and Trout within 2 weeks are out for the season. How much it changes the NL landscape, I don't really know. I don't think the Brewers were necessarily in that contention with Yelich in the first place. So it looks like the NL is still leaning the Dodgers' way, but who knows, man? Those Cardinals, they could be coming on strong. And how about the Braves? They clinched the NL East not too long ago. The Nationals, they were down and out at one point. They're sitting in that wild card spot. And the New York Mets, oh, those poor Mets. They're much like the Titans. They just continually give their fans hope just to rip it away for no reason whatsoever. When I come back from this break, I'll try not to scream into this microphone about the Titans moving to 1-1, a home loss to the Indianapolis Colts. We'll talk some more football out of the break. If you've got something you want to bring to the table, please do. 270-782-1945. Phone lines are open all throughout the show today, 5 to 6. Cincinnati not on the airways until 6:35, 6:40-ish with that pregame. So we've got our all hour today, man. I'm ready to rant and rave. Tennessee Titans next year on ESPN.
It's not luxury, it's fuel. And at Southern States, we know that when the temperature drops, the water needs heating. Or when it's dinner time, you need to know your tank is full. Count on Southern States to be your local propane supplier. Call today for a fill-up. Have a competitor's tank? No problem. Southern States offers a tank swap out at no cost to you. Call Southern States Co-op in Bowling Green, Franklin, and Russellville today and talk to them about taking care of your propane, heating oil, or diesel fuel for your home, farm, or business. Because empty is never an option.
Do you have a crappy crapper? Maybe it's old enough to be a colonial commode. Maybe it's a yellow jaundiced John. Well, Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting wants to see that pathetic pot. Ferguson is giving away a new toilet valued at $400, plus $500 towards a new bathroom remodel to the lousiest loo in a residential house. Think you have the crummy commode it takes to win their game of porcelain thrones? Email pictures to Kimberly.Spears@Ferguson.com. Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting. New showroom coming soon on Lovers Lane. 2020 sounds good at Luxury Imports of Bowling Green. Whether it's a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW, hear the engine on a test drive and you'll pick up a roaring 20 for yourself. Or maybe one of the last 18s and 19s with special deals and financing to close out the year. Everyone has a dream car, now bring it home. If Luxury Imports doesn't have your new or pre-owned BMW or Mercedes on the lot, management will find it and bring it. Fee-free to BG. Luxury Imports of Bowling Green, 325 Three Springs Road. Online at luxuryimportsofbowlinggreen.com.
Entertain Glasgow invites you to Groove and Glow Saturday, September 21st from 4 to 10. Admissions free with a non-perishable good and will take place at the Glasgow Municipal Airport. This hot air balloon festival will have free tethered rides that evening, along with free kids activities, food trucks, and live music. Opening act is Sean Stemley, followed by Adam Doliak. Thank you to these great sponsors. Title sponsor, TJ Regional Health, celebrating 90 years this year. What better way to celebrate a big birthday than with big balloons? Advocate sponsors include Farmers Rural Electric, U.S. Bank, Norton's Children's Hospital, Colton Steakhouse, The People's Bank, Western Kentucky University, Gilly Hyde Auto Group, HVAC Services, Service One Credit Union, Farmers Energy Propane Plus, Zaxby's, Sky CTC, Big Metal Oil, American Engineers Incorporated, Gerald Predick, the City of Glasgow, 1037 Nash Icon, Wovo 1063, 1053 The Point, and many more. Groove and Glow, Saturday, September 21st, 4 to 10 p.m. Admission is free at the Glasgow Municipal Airport.
Just like the United States Army, you'll find brotherhood in high school football. Back for Season 4, U.S. Army ESPN 102.7 Game Night. Join hosts Brian Webb and James Brown. Coming to a high school gridiron near you at 5 p.m. Friday on ESPN 102.7 FM, 12:30 a.m. Also streaming at ESPN Radio 1027.com. Hear the Buffalo Wild Wings Scholar Athlete of the Week, along with interactive Twitter polls, game predictions, and much more, including new coaches, athletic directors, along with player interviews every week. U.S. Army ESPN 102.7 Game Night is also brought to you by these fine sponsors: Wendy's of Bowling Green Fireplace and Grill, Frylag Executive Realty, Kite Home Center, Oak Tree Awards, L&W Supply, Cheetah Clean Auto Wash, Consignment World of Bowling Green, First Step Orthotics, Northern Kentucky University, Gary Force Paint and Body Shop, U.S. Awning Company, Southern States Bowling Green Co-op, Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating and Cooling, Trent Bedding Company, and Luxury Imports of Bowling Green, BMW Mercedes-Benz. It's host Brian Webb along with James Brown, 5 p.m. Friday for U.S. Army Game Night on ESPN 102.7. Army Strong.
Thanks to modern realities of speed and distraction, Interstate Highway Ditch can be yours. Here's how. Next time you're in a car and the driver's driving recklessly, simply say nothing. Ignore that little feeling in the pit of your stomach, and you too can experience Interstate Highway Ditch. Interstate Highway Ditch has been associated with rollovers, passenger ejection, and death. Passengers who wish to avoid Interstate Highway Ditch can do so by following simple steps, like speaking up and telling their friends to slow down.
There is no spokesperson to prevent reckless driving. There's only you. Speak up. This has been a message from the Ad Council.
It's the Sportsline Mondays, 5 to 6 on your airwaves, 102.7 FM, 1450 AM, ESPN Radio, 1027.com. At Garret Browning 5 on Twitter if you want to holler a question at me, or if I make a mistake, which is surely to happen throughout my hour of rambling and ranting. So at Garret Browning 5 if you want to call me out for my mistake. It's 2 R's, 1 T. Common mistake, man. You got to spell it the right way, 2 R's, 1 T. I know that's not the right way, but it is the right way. Our local sports center update for you. Louisville defeated the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers in Nashville on Saturday, 38-21. My key to the game was Gage Walker needed to be consistent running the football like he was through the first 2 games of the Hilltoppers season, and didn't work out quite that way. Just 14 carries, 41 yards for the starting running back for the Hilltoppers. Louisville did a good job stifling him. And Steve Duncan had a pretty good showing, though. 25 of 47, 245 through the air, 3 touchdowns and no picks. But the bad news, he is now out several weeks with a foot injury, according to Coach Helton with his presser earlier today. I saw Elliott tweet about it, and our guy Tyler Eaton for ESPN and Red Towel Radio is going to be talking a lot about that with Brandon Dowdy Thursday at 6. But I want to transition into some NFL football. It was a busy NFL week 2. Of course, Antonio Brown got his first chance to see the field. And before I get into my Titans rant, I want to open it up for this AB conversation. 270-782-1945. Again, 782-1945 if you want to dial in and get your 2 cents about Antonio Brown in there. But it's become an issue in the NFL where they created the commissioner's exempt list, where you had guys like this that had accusations, or maybe it was a civil lawsuit in this case for Antonio Brown. One woman came forward with the civil lawsuit pleading sexual misconduct, and she wasn't available to meet with the NFL during week 2. She was actually on her wedding. She was on her wedding at the time, and obviously the NFL doesn't have time to make it out and investigate at that time, so she's going to be talking to the NFL this week. But while that's happening, Antonio Brown gets to suit up in a New England Patriots uniform, take the field. He ends up with a couple of catches, a touchdown catch as well. But my question becomes, when do we begin to really bring the morality police into the situation? We've got a caller on the line for Antonio Brown, so I'll let him get his 2 cents out. Caller, welcome to the Sports Line. What's your name, buddy?
Hey, Garrett, how's it going? Austin Riley here on the line.
Oh, big ol' Austin. Thanks for helping out. I know you're a Colt fan, so we'll wait for that Colts talk in just a second, buddy. But what about this Antonio Brown situation? What do you think about the Patriots allowing him to suit up? Do you think it's an issue, or do you think that it's something that he should be allowed, innocent until proven guilty?
I think it could be with the first woman. I think it was probably consensual stuff, but Antonio Brown's kind of a crazy son of a gun, so I wouldn't put anything past him. But I'm a big Patriots hater, so I say bench him.
Well, and the question that it becomes is you see all these other former players and such, Ray Rice, that gets involved in these situations. Now, granted, when he got put on the exempt list, it was once the video came out and the evidence was obvious. But, now all of these, another incident came forward with Antonio Brown. There's a great Sports Illustrated article that you can take a look at if you want to get into it. But it just paints the picture of why is he on the field if all of these things are currently being surrounded by him. And, not only on the field, but he's on the field for the best team in the NFL, so it can really impact the rest of the season. I want to transition, though. Your Colts, man, they just have it out for these Tennessee Titans, 2-14. I guess I should say 14-2 are the Colts against the Titans in the last 16 matchups. What did you expect heading into the matchup Sunday?
I was nervous. I think the Titans are a really good team this year. Colts, I just had the number this time. I think next matchup's going to be a little tougher for us.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Titans at least can get another film session underway on Jacoby Brissett. But how, as a fan of another team in the AFC South, are you glad that Marcus Mariota is the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, or does he worry you at all?
I think I like playing against. I'd rather play against him than Tannehill, in my opinion.
Really? See, and I'm interested to hear that from the rest of the division because I think a lot of Titans fans don't want to hear that because they want to ride it out with Mariota. But do you think the Titans are a more legit contender with Ryan Tannehill?
I don't know. I think Mariota may give him a better chance to win just because of team chemistry there.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing that plays out over the next couple of weeks, whether Tannehill gets thrown into the bunch or whether Mariota is going to be the guy moving forward. But, man, all I can say is I wish your Colts the worst luck possible, and it still didn't work. So I don't know what else to wish upon you.
Oh, appreciate it, Garrett. Next time we'll talk about it, all right?
Thanks, Austin. Appreciate the call, buddy. Our buddy Austin calling in. He is a big Colts fan. I know he was really hurt about Andrew Luck moving on from Indianapolis just a couple of weeks ago, and I was pretty happy about it. But my, oh my, have the tables turned. I mean, it doesn't matter what happens, man. The Colts they just have those Titans numbers. I want to get back into this Antonio Brown thing just a little bit because the only reason I bring it up is the NFL was the one that decided to become the moral police when they created this commissioner exempt list where guys can be paid. They don't participate on the football field, but they get their game checks because an investigation is going around or questions are circling that particular athlete. And where do you draw that line? With Antonio Brown, when do you start to say, okay, these aren't just allegations. These are starting to become something that needs to be addressed. And, when do the Patriots take that step? When does the NFL take that step? Because, look, the Patriots could be the best team in football by far without Antonio Brown. You add Antonio Brown, and it's next level. I mean, there's no question about it. You get visions of Tom Brady and Randy Moss all over again. I mean, that's just nightmares for the rest of the NFL. But if this guy actually is guilty of some of these accusations, and it goes far beyond sexual misconduct. The SI article that was put out today trails a past of debt collections that he hasn't paid off. Basically, SI went and interviewed close to 20 different trainers and video producers that Antonio Brown has worked with over his career, and there's a slew of investigations, either civil lawsuit or possible criminal lawsuits involving Antonio Brown. Multiple domestic incidents. There's one incident that involves a charity auction theft where he didn't end up paying for the charity auction event that he won. I mean, that's what really begs the question to me is, when a guy like, let's say Larry Fitzgerald, for instance, all of a sudden something comes out against Larry Fitzgerald that's incriminating, and people are going to question that. Like, how real can that be, man? Larry Fitzgerald's one of the best guys in the NFL. Then you have something that comes out against a guy like Antonio Brown, and I don't want to paint Antonio Brown as a bad guy but he's done that to himself. And even if that's wrong or right to judge somebody based on some of their past events, that's what sort of needs to happen. I mean, this guy has a past of collusion, of working against others, and yet you perform on the football field, you get those opportunities. Somebody's going to give you those opportunities to perform. How long does it go on? When does that line get drawn in the sand that says, AB, this is enough, we need to look at this? And I'm not going to lie, I was one of those guys that wanted him on the Titans. When he was looking to leave the Steelers, I wanted that talent on my team. But now you get a full look at the head case. You know, in Pittsburgh, he wasn't nearly as outspoken as he is now. He had his moments, you know, filming Mike Tomlin in the locker room and all sorts of things of that nature, speaking out against Big Ben, but nothing to this effect, nothing to what he did, parting ways with the Steelers. Remember, he was supposed to be in Buffalo. He said, I'm not going there. I'm not going to the Bills. And they said, all right, I guess we're just not going to trade for him anymore. He was supposed to be in Buffalo. He got out of that. Ended up going to the Raiders. He got out of that, all to be put on the best team in the NFL with all of these personal problems. It's an issue, and it's going to become a big moral issue over the next couple of weeks. If the Patriots are 8-0 and Antonio Brown has 10 touchdown catches and should have been suspended for the first 7 weeks, what does that say? Where do you draw that line? I mean, you got to think about this quick because the season's already in full gear. You're 2 weeks down, and this man's got touchdowns. This man's got catches. I'm not trying to say that he deserves automatically to be put on the exemption list, but it's pretty frustrating that this isn't being talked about more. All that's really being talked about is, oh, did he pass interference on his one touchdown catch? Man, NFL, that news never stops. There's always something in there. There's always something. You can't stay away from the politics in sports as much as you want to in today's age. All those guys, they bring it to the forefront, man. When we take a break, coming back, I'll talk a little more Titans, rant about it. Appreciate that call from Austin. If you want to call in and give your 2 cents, 270-782-1945, 782-1945, wherever you want to take it. Remember, there's a Monday Night Football game tonight. New York Jets versus the Cleveland Browns, looking both for a bounce-back game. The Jets without Sam Darnold, and the Browns looking to come back from their 43-13 beatdown of the Titans. I have to bring that up because that's all I have right now. It's the Sportsline, ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio1027.com.
This is a Morgan & Morgan consumer message.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody. Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. Everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Offices Bowling Green.
Every room in your home, whatever it needs, United Furniture.
Beat the summertime heat with free ice cream from United Furniture and Appliance. That's right, receive a free half-gallon of ice cream just for asking to see a Speed Queen washer, catnapper recliner, or Sierra Sleep adjustable lifestyle bed. No purchase necessary. Speed Queen washers and dryers, American-made and built to last 25 years. Check out United's Power Recliners starting at $398, or Lift Recliners only $698. And get the rest you deserve with a Sierra Sleep adjustable bed, queen size as low as $698. In-store financing or United's private label credit card with 12 months no interest. And don't forget your free ice cream, only at United Furniture and Appliance, providing service with a smile for 72 years, historic downtown Bowling Green.
United Furniture. Couldn't ask for anything more.
In financial times like these, if you're successful running a business, you deserve the credit. And that's just what we give you with our MBC Business MasterCard. It's flexible, convenient, and helps you keep track of your company's expenses, all while earning points you can redeem for rewards. There's even no annual fee. This is Diane Woodburn with Monticello Bank. Stop by our new Fairview branch, located on the bypass next to Penn Station, and we'll be happy to help you apply today. Monticello Bank, where people matter. Member FDIC.
Mondays 5 to 6, Garret Browning here on your radio dials at Garret Browning 5 if you want to hit me up on Twitter, or 270-782-1945 if you'd like to call in with your comment about the Tennessee Titans, or rant, whatever it may be. I'm going to rant right alongside you, buddy, so feel free. Local Sports Center update. Tennessee, of course, losing to the Colts on Sunday. Tonight's matchup, the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns, both 0-1 course on ESPN. Louisville 38-21 over Western in college football this Saturday from Nashville. Steve Duncan, starting quarterback for the Hilltoppers, will be out several weeks with a foot injury. Give you a couple of scores from the NFL weekend. Last night it was a great game. Atlanta 24-20 over the Eagles. The Rams 27-9 over the Saints. We'll talk about that one just a little bit. How about the Bears? Did everything possible to throw that game away to the Denver Broncos and Joe Flacco, and it doesn't matter. The Bears finally found their kicker, Eddie Pinheiro, 16-14 over the Broncos, 19-17 the Colts over the Titans, Texans 13-12 over the Jags, 49ers 41-17 over the Bengals. You know, everybody's talking about how bad the Dolphins are. Oh, we might need to start talking about how bad the Bengals are, man. Rough scene. Thursday's game was Tampa over Carolina as well, 20-14. The Panthers just looked awful in that game on Thursday alongside Cam Newton. Of course, it's that Thursday game. Things happen. Things are crazy. It's ridiculous. I was talking to somebody earlier about this and brought up a great point. Look, you want to extend the schedule, that's fine. Just add a second bye week, and if you want to play those Thursday games, you play it after one of your bye weeks. That way you at least have a week of rest going into that Thursday game, because I don't care, man. It's ugly to watch. I mean, I'm glad there's football on Thursday night, but it doesn't matter who is playing. It's going to be a really ugly game, especially when it's the Panthers and the Buccaneers. Buccaneers won that one 20-14. Again, Browns and the Jets tonight. But we're going to talk more about this Tennessee Titans downfall, 19-17 over the Indianapolis Colts. Marcus Mariota started the game really well, and completion-wise was, I believe, 15 of 18 at one point. But at the end of the game, these stats just look horrendous, man. 19 of 28, 154 yards, under 10 yards a completion. One passing touchdown, was sacked 4 times, 5 carries, 32 yards, which included a 25-yard rush. Did have a fumble, didn't lose it, though. And Derrick Henry, more of the same, man. 50 carries, 81 yards, and just 2 catches, so a total of 17 touches for Derrick Henry. And it's unbelievable. You still got to say it at this point, but I don't care how the game is going. I don't care how the game is looking, unless you're down by 30 points in the second half. This man, Derrick Henry, needs to get 20 carries a game. I mean, 5.4 yards a carry, ended up with a touchdown as well. Only had a long rush of 18 yards on the day, but what that tells me, with 15 carries, 81 yards, only 18 yards is a long carry. That's consistency. That's consistency running the ball, being able to find 4 or 5 yards when you need it the most. And it's obvious, man, Marcus Mariota needs it the most. I am part of the team to see Marcus Mariota play the season out. However, I will say that I do understand if they want to go to Ryan Tannehill. But the only way I want to see Ryan Tannehill taking number 1 starting snaps when the Titans are trying to win a football game is if Marcus Mariota is on the trade block or being traded. You know, I just don't see any point of throwing Tannehill in there for what could easily be another 9-7, 8-8 year to get another mid-level draft pick, to let Marcus Mariota walk in free agency. And look, I've said it a ton of times. It doesn't matter what he does the rest of the season. Somebody is going to pay him $15 million. I don't know who, but somebody is going to pay him, because there is that need for a quarterback. And he has shown enough flashes where somebody's going to say, look, he needs to get out of that system in Tennessee. And that could be the best thing for Mariota's future. And it could be the best thing for the Titans' future, but only if they go about it the right way. I think you can use him as trade bait. Somebody's going to want a quarterback, man, and somebody's not going to want to compete this summer to sign him. If you can trade for a team that's going to sign him to a long-term deal, then you have a good opportunity of getting some good value back. I'm not saying you're going to get a first-round pick. I mean, this guy's 5 years in the NFL now. But, I mean, you've got to get a third-rounder, a second-rounder, right? I mean, he's a legitimate winning quarterback in the NFL. Whether he's going to win you 10 games or not is a question, but we've seen defenses that are good enough to take teams the distance. And I've kind of thought that from the beginning of this season, that was what this Titans defense could be. A team that is carried by their defense and has a quarterback that's good enough to win you those crunch them out games, those close them out games. And this was the test. This was the first test against the Indianapolis Colts, and it was a total failure, man. There were a couple of plays during the final 5 minutes that were huge. It was 19-17. At one point, the Titans, with about 3.5 minutes on the clock, had it inside their own 30. They faked like they were going to go for it on fourth down, and they tried to draw them off sides, which is all well and good. And, hindsight is 20/20. But those 30 seconds that they spent trying to get that offsides penalty ended up costing them at the end of the game. They had to spike the ball on third down with Mariota, which left a 4th and 3 with time, I believe, at I don't remember how much time was left at that point, 11 seconds or so, 15 seconds. Whereas if you have an extra 15, an extra 20, maybe you don't have to spike it on third down. You can run a quick play to the sideline, or at least run a quick play to get a first and then spike the ball. It was just it was tough, man. You feel like this division is open. You feel like it's for the taking, and Tennessee still cannot answer the call. Give credit to the Colts, man. This is a team, though, that I think a lot of people wanted to count them out when Andrew Luck was done, when he was retired. And you forget about how much this defense has improved. Malik Hooker, Justin Houston was a really big signing for them. And Darius Leonard, I mean, he's got a good conversation for being the best linebacker in the NFL. Easily the most underrated player in the NFL right now, Darius Leonard. Rookie of the year last year, but not talked about enough. So they have a stellar defense. And you pair that with a guy with Jacoby Brissett, which has been able to learn that Colts offense. He's had opportunities to be a starting quarterback. There are a lot of guys that talk highly of him. I mean, there's a reason he was on the Patriots for a stint. They're still looking for that guy to replace Tom Brady. And at one point, Bill Belichick thought it could be Jacoby Brissett. And right now, the Colts think that guy to replace Andrew Luck is Jacoby Brissett. And that's trouble. I mean, if they already found their guy once again, what are you going to do? We need a quarterback. We need an offensive line. What do we need? Somebody tell me. 270-782-1945. Tell me what the Titans need or need to do. Monday Night Football tonight, the Jets and the Browns. Give you a couple of betting lines for entertainment purposes only. The Browns are 7-point favorites, and the total for tonight's game is 45. I'll tell you what, I kind of like that under because Sam Darnold is going to be out for this game. I know I'm saying his last name wrong. It's weird, man. He's got Darnold, but you leave out the D, Darno. I don't like it. I don't like it. Spell it with O-W if it's like that. But anyways, Jets, I like them at +7. I really think Le'Veon Bell is going to have a big game versus Cleveland. Cleveland's defense was supposed to be one of the better defenses in the NFL, and I saw a lot of holes versus a Tennessee Titans offense that has a lot of holes itself. You saw it this week, so I would not be surprised if those Jets put in a good fight without their regular starting quarterback in the game. Of course, the Browns are hungry, man. That's all anybody talked about after week 1 was how terrible they looked. So they'll be hungry on Monday Night Football. Remember, you can tune in ESPN on your TV sets tonight if you want to tune into that one, or stay tuned to ESPN Radio tonight. The Reds will be on your airwaves with our guy Marty Brenneman. Cincinnati, they are still technically in the playoff hunt mathematically, so don't give out hope yet. They need to go on a tremendous run, and it starts with a divisional opponent, man. The Chicago Cubs tonight at 7:05. Kevin Gausman for the Reds and Cole Hamel for the Chicago Cubs. I'm not going to lie. I had zero idea Cole Hamels was still pitching in the major leagues. And that guy's old, right? He was like pitching in 2003. Man, that's crazy. You got Mike Trout and Christian Yelich getting hurt, and then you got some of these pitchers getting Tommy John every year, and then you got guys like Cole Hamels. He's still going. How? It's ESPN Radio.
Rumor has it that Rafferty's goes all out for sports fans, and it's absolutely true. Fans love Rafferty's because the food is so terrific, served fresh, fast, and friendly for lunch and dinner. Rafferty's menu is full of delicious dishes and generous portions of your favorites like steak, wings, ribs, and their legendary chicken salad. Dine in or take it on the run when you order online at Rafferty's.com. And don't forget a party tray for your next tailgate. Come hang with the sports gang at Rafferty's, the tastiest place in Bowling Green.
Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, Hospice of Southern Kentucky, and the Alzheimer's Foundation invite you to the Cruisin' for a Cure car show every Tuesday night at Brewster's on Scottsville Road in Bowling Green. See hot rods, street rods, rat rods, and more. They're shined up, tricked out, and looking good.
Car enthusiasts, the Southern Kentucky Street Rods invite you to the 57th Annual Franklin Car Show, Saturday, September 21st on the Courthouse Square. See rat rods, stocks, modifieds, and motorcycles vying for bragging rights and hardware.
Don't miss the Cruisin' for a Cure car show, benefiting the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, Hospice of Southern Kentucky, and the Alzheimer's Foundation. It's free and fun for the whole family. That's every Tuesday night, 5 till 8, at Brewster's on Scottsville Road in Bowling Green.
Plus, remember to get your tickets for the 2019 Ford Mustang giveaway.
The Cruisin' for a Cure car show is sponsored in part by Brewster's Real Ice Cream and J.C. Kirby & Son Funeral Chapels and Crematory.
This is Edward James Olmos. Did you know that today 1 out of every 4 American kids is Hispanic? That means many of the future doctors, engineers, and entrepreneurs of our country can be your kids. We all know how hard it is for you to send them to college. This is why many support you. And the Hispanic Scholarship Fund helps you prepare, plan, and pay for your kids' college education. Learn more at hsf.net. Brought to you by the Hispanic Scholarship Fund and the Ad Council.
It's Dub City, according to Tyler, who thinks everything is Dub City.
Everything's Dub City.
Everything's Dub City on
Unless
Red
it's
Tel.
LA.
Wow.
Get it? Because I suck.
Is that how we're going to end the show?
Yep.
This is ESPN.
Always try to keep it entertaining. Maybe not the cleanest of breaks or returns, but I keep it going here on ESPN Radio 102.7 FM, ESPN Radio 102.7.com. I got to paint a picture for the listeners out there. 270-782-1945 is the line if you want to dial in and get whatever's off your chest, whether it's the Titans, high school football, these Hilltopper tops in football. Maybe you're just a giant Browns fan and you want to talk trash to me. That is okay. 782-1945. But I got to tell you, it's really difficult to try and work the soundboard, talk into the microphone, and answer the phone at the same time. Difficult task, but we're making it work. Local Sports Center update. Titans 19-17 were defeated to the Indianapolis Colts. They get ready for that Thursday night game. It's going to be an ugly one against the Jacksonville Jaguars down in Jacksonville. They had a 1-point loss to the Texans at Houston this past Sunday. Antonio Brown, touchdown catch on Sunday for the Patriots. More trouble in the news, though. Another sexual misconduct allegation against AB, including more misconducts involving domestic incidents, a charity auction theft, all outlined in an SI article posted just a couple of hours ago. Strongly encourage you to take a look at that if you're on the side of letting Antonio Brown play throughout the season. Morality issues, man. They come into play even in sports, even if you want to avoid them. WKU 21-38, they fall to Louisville in Nashville. High school roundup, BG 56-0 over PRP. Glasgow winners alongside Greenwood, Logan County, and South Warren. We've been talking a lot here on Sportsline. Of course, Antonio Brown. Of course, the Tennessee Titans. And the push for the Major League postseason battle continues tonight. Of course, the Reds are against the Cubs Cole Hamels on the mound for the Cubs. Raise your hand if you knew Cole Hamels was still in the major leagues. And the Tampa Bay Rays, they're fighting for that AL wildcard spot. They get the LA Dodgers in LA as well, so that's going to be a really close race in the AL wildcard. The Cleveland Indians hanging around just a game and a half back of the Rays, who are a game back of the first wildcard team, the Oakland A's, who finally get their own baseball field, right? They're not going to play football on that thing anymore. Hopefully you were watching Monday night's game last week. It was going to be the last game played on the dirt for the Oakland Raiders. No more of that baseball dirt. Aren't you going to miss it? I don't know why. I used to always think the Dolphins played on dirt too. Maybe they did before their new stadium, but that's getting off the point. We're talking all things sports around the Commonwealth, so we'll transition into a little Hilltopper football against the Louisville Cardinals. Of course, a 38-21 defeat for the Tops, so they move to 1-2 on the season. However, still first in Conference USA's East Division because of their win over FIU. And they get a break this coming week. Their next game will be Saturday, September 28th from Houchins LT Smith Stadium versus the 2-0 UAB Blazers. UAB has played Alabama State, and then they went on the road to Akron and got a 31-20 win. They play South Alabama this coming Saturday at home before heading to Western Kentucky. UAB is one of those teams favorited in Conference USA as well. But, you know, when you look across this Conference USA division, and not just the division, but the conference as a whole, it feels like this is one of the more open seasons for somebody else to come take that Conference USA crown. It has not been a fun start, to say the least, for most of these Conference USA teams. I know North Texas, they were supposedly one of the bigger favorites. Of course, they had a tough matchup versus Cal this week, but they were also blown out by SMU just a week ago, which that was pretty surprising. Troy struggled against Southern Miss, 47-42, so Southern Miss still a pretty big opponent in terms of Conference USA crown. Middle had to take on Duke this week. That was a bad one, 41-18, and Texas ran all over Rice, 48-13. I did see Rice got their 2 cents in, though. Their marching band at halftime marched into a formation of 2.8, which, if you don't know what that is significant for, Texas, their recruiting department on Twitter sent out a picture graphic that talked about Texas and their great team GPA, which is great. You want to put that out to the public, but it was 2.8. I don't know if I'd necessarily publicize that as much as Texas recruiting did. So Rice got at least they won a part of the battle. They didn't win the war, but they won a small battle. And we'll give that to the Rice Owls. So the Hilltoppers, they've got a week to collect themselves, and they're going to need a week to collect themselves. They'll be without starting quarterback Steve Duncan for several weeks, a foot injury. Most likely, we believe Ty Story is going to come into that quarterback role, but it opens up the conversation for 2 other guys once again, Davis Shanley and Kavaris Thomas. It's tough for Steven because I felt like, although it was still a struggle against the Louisville Cardinals, losing by 17, the stats look pretty decent for him. It looked like he's kind of starting to get into a control of this offense, get into a feel for this offense. 25 of 47, 245, 3 touchdowns, no picks. I don't think Coach Helton wanted to throw the ball that many times, but your run game's being stifled. Walker, your best running back, 14 carries, 41 yards. That's not a good average per carry. So you're kind of forced to throw the ball more with a guy that's still getting comfortable in the offense. So I really wanted Stephen Duncan to be the quarterback moving forward for the Hilltoppers. It's tough that he has to deal with this injury, but hopefully he can heal up and he can come back a little better. One of the Hilltoppers' opponents coming up in the future season, Army, took on another CUSA team, and it was actually at San Antonio as well. Army against UTSA, 31-13. The Black Knights took a victory. Again, you got to remember, Army almost took down Michigan at the Big House just last week. It was 24-21. Michigan was able to escape in overtime. So the Hilltoppers still have a lot of football season left. I think fans are frustrated because they felt like that Louisville game was a winnable one. Sadly, Bobby Petrino is no longer the head coach, or we would have had a much better opportunity. I really like Scott Satterfield at Louisville. He's going to be there for, I think, a long, long time. How about Kentucky against Florida? That was a game that, it felt like Kentucky had in their palms for most of the time, and Florida loses their starting quarterback. The backup quarterback comes in and looks just as good as Felipe Franks. A couple of tough calls win against the Cats in that game, but they also kind of shot themselves in the foot one too many times to allow Florida to come away with that win in Kroger Stadium, Kroger Field, almost called it Commonwealth Stadium. Still is in my heart. In my heart, it's Commonwealth Stadium. But the Cats, without Terry Wilson, which is just really a pain for any college football fan, a Kentucky team that finally looked like they were starting to go around the corner in terms of SEC competition, maybe start to truly compete with a couple of those top-tier teams, and then you lose your starting quarterback that led you to a 10-win season. It's a killer, but Sawyer Smith, man, he looks like he could be a decent, maybe not even decent, a good replacement for Terry Wilson in that UK offense. We'll have to see moving forward. Tough loss this weekend. Louisville is the only team in the Commonwealth happy this week. They can't be that happy either. I mean, they beat the Tops. They beat them last year, too, when they shouldn't have. Oh, well. That's football season for you, man. That's what I get used to with the Tops and the Titans. Elliott Pratt put it best into words when he was talking about the Titans after their Week 1 performance against the Browns. There go those Titans doing the getting your hope things up again. Couldn't have said it better myself, buddy. Come back with us. We've got one final break. I'll make some predictions for Monday Night Football tonight, as well as the NFL schedule this coming week. Titans and Jacksonville this Thursday. Big game for Tennessee. Jacksonville trying to avoid 0-3. The Titans trying to stay above 500. Stay tuned. We'll talk more about it. Sportsline, ESPN Radio.
Hey, Bowling Green, Steve Russell here with Consignment World, and I'm wanting to let the ESPN listener family know that Consignment World wants your business. We also want you to know that we're not a typical consignment store. I think Consignment World is more of an ESPN kind of store, and by that I mean we cover a lot of ground just like ESPN does. First of all, we're not a clothing store. Our focus is on good, clean, used furniture, decorating accessories, collectibles, primitives, tools, even sporting goods. In fact, at the time I'm making this radio spot, I'm just finishing up a liquidation of a large fishing lure collection and also liquidating a lot of nice turkey calls and Turkey Federation decor from a world-renowned turkey caller. At Consignment World, we do estate liquidations as well, and that means we never know what's going to come in the door, making variety our feature. Hey, if you haven't visited with us before, we want your business. We're Bowling Green's best kept secret and hardest place to find. We're at 824 Broadway next to J.C. Kirby, 781-0009. Come see us.
Are you looking to buy and sell a home? The market is red hot and now's the time. Hello, this is Kirk Tinsley, president of Crylike Executive Realty. Last year, Crylike assisted over 800 families in reaching their goals of buying and selling real estate in South Central Kentucky. Our highly trained real estate professionals at Crylike can help you too. Give us a call today at 270-781-3377 or visit us on the web at realestateinbowlinggreen.com.
Lace up your running shoes for the 40th running of the MedCenter Health 10K Classic, Saturday, September 21st. Choose the 5K, 10K wheelchair, or the 10K Classic. Registration includes t-shirt, medal, pasta party, fitness expo, and chances to win cash prizes. Children run free in the Children's Classic, sponsored by Graves Gilbert Pediatrics. Register at MedCenterHealth10KClassic.com. MedCenter Health 10K Classic. Experience the tradition.
Debt stress, just like any other kind of stress, can take a number of different forms. Are you having trouble sleeping at night and lie awake worrying about how much you owe in credit card debt? Do you have trouble concentrating at work because of money problems? Maybe you're constantly arguing with your spouse or other loved ones about money issues. There is help out there if you know where to go. National Foundation for Credit Counseling Agencies are independently accredited and have trained certified counselors ready to help you. This means the agency complies with important standards, and our agencies are nonprofit and community governed, so we have a real stake in helping you. To find an NFCC agency near you, call 800-388-2227 or visit them online at nfcc.org. That number again is 800-388-2227 or online at nfcc.org. The preceding message was a public service from the National Foundation for Credit Counseling.
Sometimes when I play these instrumentals, I just want to start singing, man. Vance Joy, Riptide bringing us back here on Sportsline, 5 to 6 Mondays, 102.7 FM and ESPN Radio, 102.7.com. Local Sports Center update, looking to the week ahead. The Tennessee Titans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars this Thursday night football. And what two teams would you rather watch than two of the sloppiest teams in the NFL? The Titans and the Jags. At least we have some sort of curse over the Jaguars. I'm not sure what it is. I guess it's like the Jalen Ramsey curse or something. If you missed it, Jalen Ramsey and his head coach, Doug Marrone, were getting into it on the sideline. And just a couple of months ago, actually just a few weeks ago, probably a month ago, Ramsey was on a podcast called Bussing with the Boys. If you don't know what that is, it's Taylor Lewan, offensive lineman for the Titans, and Will Compton, current linebacker for the Saints, was formerly a Tennessee Titan. They kind of do this podcast inviting on all sorts of football guys or whoever it may be, and Ramsey was a guest. And, of course, Jalen is a Nashville native. Went to high school in Nashville, grew up there his entire life, and he was asked where he would hypothetically go after his stint with the Jaguars was done. He tried to get an extension this past summer, which Jaguars Nation was not fully into. There were trade rumors last year about trying to get rid of Ramsey while his value was still high. We'll have to wait and see how that all plays out, but we'll get the chance to see the two teams once again take each other on Thursday night. Hopefully Jalen Ramsey ends up a Titan. That's my only point. We could use that. Maybe a hometown discount as well. That'd be kind of cool. Ramsey said that the two places he would like to go outside of Florida, Nashville and Las Vegas. I could definitely see him as a Raider. That'd be a tough free agent battle right there, Las Vegas versus Nashville. Jacksonville 13-12. They lost to the Texans this Sunday, and the Tennessee Titans 17-19. They lost to the Indianapolis Colts. So both of these teams are hungry for wins. Gardner Minshew is the quarterback in place of the broken collarbone of Nick Foles. Such a tough injury. Week 1, we've seen so many quarterbacks go down in the first 2 weeks. Nick Foles, Drew Brees yesterday, Ben Roethlisberger as well, who is now out for the season. Mason Rudolph is going to come in place of Roethlisberger. We saw Bridgewater try to come in place of Drew Brees and take on the Rams. That didn't work out too well. Of course, the Saints kind of had a call go against them once again. Changed the momentum of that game. Didn't necessarily lose them the game quite like that pass interference in the NFC Championship, but it definitely could have changed the momentum of that game in the second half. A big fumble return that was brought back because it was blown dead as an incompletion, which the Saints were allowed the fumble recovery. It was a clear recovery from Cam Jordan, but because the play was blown dead, the return was nullified. So just the fumble recovery was given, not the return, which resulted in a touchdown. So the Titans and the Jaguars this Thursday night, which is going to bring me to my favorite segment and probably my worst segment as well.
From freezing cold takes to that 1 a.m. mistake, it's Deleted Tweets.
First deleted tweet has nothing to do with sports, just the sports media world. I now have a newfound respect for this man, Stephen A. Smith. He gets on the radio for 3 hours every day and is just like the only one in the microphone. I mean, maybe his producer will hop in every now and then and give him a little tidbit. You know, he gets a little more callers than me, so I'll give him that. He's got callers to give him a breath, let him get a drink of water every now and then, but this man never stops. It's unbelievable. I'm trying, and it's hard enough. My deleted tweet for this Thursday night, it's going to involve the Tennessee Titans and the Jaguars. My deleted tweet is Marcus Mariota is going to throw 4 touchdowns. And all of a sudden, it's going to come back to, oh, he's our franchise quarterback. He's going to give me all this false hope just to let me down next week again. I think it's Bills week 4. I'm checking the schedule as we speak. But, you know, Mariota, man, it's just been week in and week out. You see the flashes, you don't. You see the ugliness. You see the flashes, you don't. You see the ugliness. So, it's time to see the flashes again. And a super deleted tweet. If I was general manager, if I was running Madden 20, you know, franchise mode, just working my way through the video game, I would think about trading Mariota very seriously, even if he has a good game in the next week or so. Only because the trade value will be at its highest. After this week's game, it just feels like it's time. That game was just all the demons coming to once again put a curse on the Titans, you know. Hey, Andrew Luck's gone. You got some hope. No, you don't. Mariota can't throw for over 200 yards. Hey, you got Derrick Henry. No, we're not going to give him 20 touches. He's going to get over 5 yards a carry. Don't worry about that, but he's not going to get enough touches to get him over 100 yards. Oh, you got an elite defense. Oh, but it doesn't matter because they're on the field too much because your offense keeps going 3 and out and can't stay on the field. You know, the NFL, it's one of the hardest sports to win a championship in for good reason. That's why we all hate the Patriots even more. Tom Brady, 50 years old, still throwing dimes. They can get Antonio Brown for a bag of pretzels and a hot dog. You know, give me a break. What's going on? AB in the media. All these incidents, all these sexual misconducts, domestic incidents, charity auction, theft, debt repayment, in uniform catching touchdowns for the New England Patriots. Why? Because it makes the NFL money. It makes New England money, and it keeps the NFL in good graces, and more eyes are glued to the television set to watch Antonio Brown because he's talented. Why doesn't that work for other athletes like Kaepernick? I don't know. Oh, somebody's ready to kick me off the airwaves now. I'm talking Kaepernick in Kentucky. Not saying bring him back, but, you know, one guy is blackballed for standing up for something he believes in. The other gets to do what he wants, gets to go to any team he wants in the NFL amid all the misconduct. How does that add up? The morality was brought in by the commissioner exempt list, and then it's just destroyed with how they react to everything that happens in the league, whether it be criminal activity, whether it be political protest. The NFL cannot get out of its own way and can't service itself well enough to show that they know what they're doing. It's collusion around cooperation. All 32 NFL owners are working in tandem to make their product the most profitable it possibly can. And how do they do that? Well, they let Antonio Brown play. Oh, people don't want Colin Kaepernick because he's standing up for something he believes in? Well, we'll take that away because we can. And we're making more money again. Life is good. Well, you can see my stance on it. It's a tough league, man. It's tough to oversee. It's tough to rule. And then you got that robot commissioner just giving random commands from the back. What is that guy even talking about? And you got Gronk saying he's healed his CTE. I didn't even get into that. This man Gronkowski says he has healed CTE from the use of CBD. What the hell? Gronk. No. It's the Sportsline. 102.7 FM, ESPN Radio, 102.7.com. Tune in next week. I'll promise to rain a little less. ESPN Radio.